Okay, so here's our first problem. So for number 1, it says, one day Philip purchased 5 loaves of bread and 3 muffins for a total of $8. A few days later, at the same store, he purchased 2 loaves of bread and 6 muffins for a total of $5.60. What is the price of the single loaf of bread and single muffin? So here's our problem. We want to know what the price is for a single loaf of bread. So the price of a single loaf of bread and a single muffin. So in this case, we need to write down what is our unknown. So this is what I would do. I would write down what I am looking for first. Maybe not in pink. Let's see here. Eraser. So in this case, we are looking for, so let X be maybe the price of a single loaf of bread. So I'm going to say the price of bread. And then Y, I'm going to make Y be the price of a muffin. Because remember, X and Y's are variables, and we don't know what the price of the bread and the muffin is. So I'm going to make those a variable so I can solve for it. That being said, you can see here that there are some things that they've already given us, right? We know the number of bread and the number of muffins bought. And we know that the total price of them together is $8 for the first set. And we know for the second purchase, when 2 loaves of bread and 6 muffins are added together, we get a total price of $5.60. So here's what I'm going to do with that piece of information. I am going to write a systems of equation for the given information up here. So basically, part 2 is to write down your equations. So I'm going to go ahead and do that underneath here. So here is going to be my equations. So I'm going to number them. So the first equation here, we're talking about the 5 loaves of bread and 3 muffins. So I'm going to highlight that piece of information because it's important. So 5 pieces of bread and 3 muffins. When you buy those, it's a total of $8. So let's think about it. If I wanted to know the price of 5 bread, what I would do is multiply 5 by the price of the bread. But I don't know what the price is, so I'm going to multiply that by X because that's what I made X to be, the price of bread. And then I'm going to add that with 3 muffins, the price of 3 muffins. So that's going to be 3 times Y. When I add these two terms together, I get $8. So I'm just going to write 8. And then for my second equation, I'm going to do the same thing, but for the second purchase. So that was 2 loaves of bread. Oops, that's not the highlighter. So 2 loaves of bread and 6 muffins is a total of $5.06. So looking at these equations, this looks very familiar, right? You have a systems of equation, and you got a 2 by 2. So 2 equations, 2 variables. So let's get started. So looking at this, I can see that my x's and y's are already lined up, and so are my constants. So it's a really good idea to use elimination. So let's go ahead and start with elimination. Looking at here, right, we want to eliminate a variable. Remember, when we want to eliminate a variable, they need to be the same constants or same coefficient and different in sign, so opposite signs. So looking at both of these equations, it doesn't look like we have that case. So what we can do is take a look and see maybe what's a good one to multiply into each equation. So looking at this, I can see that 3 and 6 are common numbers because in this case, this 3, right? I can multiply this 3 by a 2 to get 6 and get their coefficients the same, but then I can multiply it to make it a negative 2. So if I multiply this equation by a negative 2, I get a negative 6y. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2, negative 2. Okay, so from here, let me erase some stuff. So grabbing my pen, when we're solving this out here, remember if we're using elimination, we need to add these equations. But first, let's distribute this 2, this negative 2. So negative 2 times 5x is going to be negative 5x. And then we have negative 2 times 3y, so that's going to give me negative 6y. And then if I multiply negative 2 by 8, that's going to give me negative 16. Now down below, I didn't change anything to the bottom equation, right? So I'm just going to bring that down. So just copy and paste. So that's 2x plus 6y equals 5.60. Looking at this, I'm going to add these equations. So negative 10x plus 2x, that's 8x, or negative 8x, excuse me. And then we have the negative 6y and 6y. Those are opposite in signs and same coefficient, so they go away. Bring down my equal sign. And then negative 6 plus 5.6. So make sure you grab a calculator if you need to, calculate that. So I'm going to pause. Okay, so when I take negative 6 plus 5.6, that gives me negative 10.4. Okay, so from here we are going to, looks like we have a negative 8 next to our x, so make sure we need to divide that. Also divide by negative 8. The negative 8's cancel, bringing down my x. So in this case, let's see, negative 10.4 divided by negative 8. That is going to be 1.3. So we have found what our x value is, so let's circle that. The next thing we need to do is calculate for our y value, or in this case, remember our y value is the price of the muffin. So we just found the price of the bread, and it looks like it's $1.30. So let's go ahead and find the price of the muffin. So let's see here. Maybe use green. And we need to use either equation 1 or 2 to find the price of the muffin. So I'm going to go ahead and use equation 1. Remember, it doesn't matter as long as you choose one of them. So equation 1 was 5x plus 3y equals 8. And I'm plugging in 1.3 for x. So on here, if I plug that in, that's going to be 5 times 1.3 plus 3y equals 8. So let's solve this out. 5 times 1.3 is 6.5 plus 3y equals 8. Now we want to get y by itself, so taking a look here, y is right here. The furthest thing from y on the left-hand side looks like the 6.5. So we need to move that term. So we need to subtract both sides by 6.5. The 6.5's cancel, bringing down your 3y. Let's see, 8 minus 6.5, that is 1.5. And then we need to divide both sides by 3 to cancel out that 3 on that y. 3's cancel out, so y is equal to, let's see, 1.5 divided by 3 gives me 0.5. So once you get your x's and y's, let's now put this in the story format, right? So in this case, we were looking for the price of the bread and a muffin. So down here below, let's write out what these x's and y's are. X was the price of bread. So we know that the price of bread, so maybe let's say bread price, is, so the bread price is, we could say equals $1.30. And then the muffin price is equal to, looks like 50 cents. So 50 cents. And that is it. That is our solutions. So we can use systems of equations to help us find, in this case, prices.